be upon me. And he said, thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I'm taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee. But if not, it shall not be so. He said, I'd like to have twice as much power as you have, Elijah. You know, I didn't know this until just last week. Chad and I were talking one day, and he said, I remember when Bill died. That's Mom's second husband. He said, I remember when Bill died. We went over to see Bill. He was sick, and Bill was close to death at that time. Bill was in the bed. He called Chad and Tara's boys over. Here's what he did. He put his hand on each one of their heads and began to pray for them boys. Now he's fixing to die. He knows he's dying. But his concern is not for him. He knows where he's going. His concern is for a generation that's coming on. He begins to pray over those boys that God would use them, that God would bless them, that God would help them in sports, God would help them in life, God would help them in their marriage, God would help them through life. And he prays for them. And now Elijah is about to be taken. Elijah said, all I want is a double portion of your power. And Elijah says to him, if you see me when I go, it'll be granted. But if you don't see me when I go, it's not going to happen. Well, look at what the Bible has to say. The Bible says in verse 11, they went on. All of a sudden there was a chariot of fire and horses of fire. Parted, came right between them. The Bible says then there was a whirlwind that took Elijah up into heaven. Several years ago, my daughter was in Atlanta. They had a tornado hit the hotel where she was staying at. After everything settled and we knew she was all right, me and Debbie were sitting there, and I told Debbie, I said, well, if the Lord had took her in that tornado, look at what good company she would have been in. I said, Elijah went that way, and she said, my daughter ain't Elijah. She said it wouldn't have been good if he had taken her. But he went up not by a chariot of fire and by horses of fire. He went up by a whirlwind. Now understand, these 50 sons of the prophets that are